This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated. Jihadist Psychopath by Dr. Jamie Glazov. I will tell you as an expert on Sharia, as a former child bride who has suffered and faced my own jihadi psychopath, I want you to go and order this book on Amazon.com or go to jamieglazov.com. Get a copy for yourself. You know why? Because you need to be equipped with the knowledge to fight our enemies so you can save your daughters and your granddaughters from future of Islam.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Moment. Tonight, Amazon bans Tommy Robinson's book. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I often say this. I'm the child of Soviet dissidents. We escaped the Soviet Union. And we escaped the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union has now come to us. Sometimes my friends, I'm a bit disoriented doing my moments in my interviews, not only because perhaps I am a little disoriented in general, but we live in such surreal, Kafkaesque times that sometimes it's difficult where to start. We're in the West. Amazon has banned Tommy Robinson's book, which is about the Quran, and it's just a very truthful analysis of the Quran. It's called, quote unquote, Muhammad's Quran. And all Tommy Robinson is doing is analyzing the Quran and explaining what it says. Now, Robert Spencer has written an article on this at PJ Media. Quote unquote, the article's title is Amazon Bans Tommy Robinson's Book. Look up Robert Spencer's article. It is very, very profound, strong piece, and he says everything that needs to be said in this blog is dedicated to Robert's article. So it's very interesting. What's happening here? What's the timeline? Recently, this hero, our hero, Tommy Robinson, who's simply just a human rights activist and civil rights activist. He's just, if anything, standing up predominantly for white girls that are being raped in the United Kingdom by Muslim rape gangs. I mean, just the outrage of it all. I mean, how dare Tommy Robinson be doing this? But recently, Tommy Robinson embarrassed the BBC by exposing the bias and dishonesty of its reporter, John Sweeney. So he's paying the price for this. There's been a retaliation, and the retaliation is ensuing. Tommy was, he's been banned from YouTube, banned from Facebook, and now his book is withdrawn from sale at Amazon. Now, the co-author of the book, Peter McLaughlin, has said a lot of important things. And one of the things Peter McLaughlin is mentioned is that Mein Kampf is for sale on Amazon. But Tommy's book is not for sale at Amazon. Just let that sink in. So what situation are we facing in the West today? Amazon, Barnes & Noble do not carry Tommy's book, and they have a monopoly on book sales. So my friends, when Amazon and Barnes & Noble, when these two giants refuse to carry a book, basically what's really happening is that book effectively does not exist. It's like in the Soviet Union when they just erased a person out of their history books, that person just never existed. When the Soviet regime sent a dissident to the Gulag or into exile, unless, very special circumstances of, an outcry in the West, persons simply just ceased to exist. And this book now just does not exist unless we make some noise. And so when you start banning books that tell the truth about Islam, when you start telling the truth about jihad and Sharia, and you oppose jihad and Sharia and try to tell the truth about it, well, when you can't say the truth in a book, where can you say it? Where can the truth be found? And I credit a lot of what I'm saying to Robert Spencer because he very profoundly and very powerfully talks about this and writes about this in the article. Just Google it. It's at PJ Media. So Muhammad's Quran, Tommy's book, is just a truthful analysis about Islam's holy book. And what Tommy Robinson basically shows is that he reveals how jihadists find inspiration and sanctioning in Islamic texts and in Islamic teachings. There's no hatred against any people. There's no racism or Islamophobia or white supremacism or anything like that. Tommy Robinson is simply just analyzing the Quran and explaining why jihadists do what they do and why they say what they say when they justify what they do, because they're always pointing to the texts. And in our civilization, if an ideology is waging war on us, we have to make a threat assessment. As Sun Tzu counseled and warned, know thy enemy in a war. So if we cannot know our enemy, if we can't make a threat assessment, and if the human rights activists and the people that want to protect freedom and democracy and individualism and human rights, if their books are not allowed to be sold or even not allowed to exist, what's happening? Well, what's happening is what Robert Spencer says in this article, that the writing is on the wall. Because he shows that once censorship begins, it doesn't end. This doesn't end with Tommy Robinson. You know, there's like the Me Too movement. And we know that there's also something happening right now, like when I say the Me Too movement, what I mean is that it's also, it's not just a Me Too movement in terms of, you know, allegedly, you know, trying to defend victims, which is always a good thing to do, but it's also a war. It's a totalitarian war, and we know what that totalitarian war is about. And now, in terms of what's happening to Tommy Robinson, what I want to say is there's also a U2 movement happening now. Because when they take Tommy Robinson's book off Amazon, don't forget, it's U2. Because when Tommy Robinson can't tell the truth, and when people can't tell the truth about the Quran and Islam, then what next? Who next? Who is it next that wants to tell the truth about something or someone, or especially about an ideology that's waging war on us? We are losing our capacity to make a threat assessment, my friends. Our ability to make a threat assessment in our civilization is dying. And if we can't make a threat assessment, if we can't tell the truth about why jihadists are running around, for instance, stabbing people in the streets, screaming Allahu Akbar, because they're following the text of their ideology, if we have to constantly say that this is just mental illness and it's connected to climate change and maybe they just need a job, if we continue this delusion, our civilization's suicide will ensue. Stand up for Tommy Robinson. Stand up for our rights. Do something. Write Amazon. Support freedom fighters. Support truth tellers. Get involved. Engage in our culture war. Write a letter to the editor. Start supporting groups that are fighting for freedom and fighting for individualism and for liberty. Stand up for our civilization. Do not tolerate a situation where Mein Kampf can be sold on Amazon, and yet a civil rights and human rights activist that's simply making a threat assessment about an ideology that's waging war on us, where his book cannot be published. Take a stand for our civilization. We'll see you soon on the Jamie Glazov Moment. Good night.